Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ninja Warrior Podcast. This is Steve Ross here. Welcome you guys all back. And once again, I have my two co-hosts here, Crystal and John. And so, how you guys doing? It's been great, and I'm pretty excited for this week. Yeah, this episode on the WeWatch was a lot of fun to go through. Unlike all the previous episodes before it seems like this one was full of ninja stars. Like, there weren't many of those rookies were like, we don't care about them. There weren't many of those random dumb stories that no one cares about, unlike last time. It was just mostly the ones of the competitors that we wanted to see, and that's mostly why this episode was so good. Yeah, and I think we should just get into it basically, since we don't have anything else to say in terms of non-spoiler related stuff, just general opinions. Let's start with the course, which remained mostly the same, except the second obstacle is now a spring forward from the LA qualifiers of last season, and slingshot returned as the fifth obstacle, which was in the qualifiers. It was the very first episode of the qualifiers, as well as in the Cincinnati qualifiers and finals last season. But yeah, yeah. So let's move on. Now moving on to the ones, we had Verdell Benson, and Verdell had a segment about him hitting a buzzer this season, hitting a buzzer in qualifying, and the impact that's left on him, and how grateful he is that his family is able to watch his runs and everything. And that was all cool and all, and then he fell on the corkscrew. Yeah, I gotta say, this is probably the one story I'm like, why? Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say, but I think that when they just do the most random thing at the beginning of the episode, they often just screw it up. I mean, I see what you mean. They don't give us all that much material to work with. It's just saying the same thing over and over again. Maybe adding an extra detail here and there, but basically it. Yeah, after Verdell, we had a fast-forward segment with Thomas Stillings, and I knew he was fast-forwarded, but I did not remember it being this early. Yeah, the second one of the episode, I think this just proves what you guys were saying a couple weeks ago when you talked about episode 3, how Stillings was invited just because he had a story about his wife. I really do think so, considering the treatment he was given here in the finals. Yeah, the fact that he was the second runner, he moved on, granted, but still, the fact that he was the second runner and was fast forward just seems like they brought him back because he had a story, which is kind of sad. And it shows the show they're producing this for the money to have something aired on television, and not necessarily for the sport itself. Unlike G4, who were dubbing Sasuke to have more programming, and it seemed that they actually had the care in doing so because their dub was actually really accurate, and they did a good job formatting the episodes. Yeah, I like the older style episodes just because they showed off everyone, and people were cut from time to time, but they showed off everyone we needed, everyone else. There were a few people who were fast-forwarded, but usually only the major people are shown and the other people are just cut. And in Sasuke, at least the G4 dub, it was accurate. The tournaments were well-maintained, well taken of, and even now, while not everyone can agree that's the new era of Sasuke has been good lately, ever since G4 Monster Line went bankrupt, still, Sasuke still has the same kind of feel to it. Something that A&W has changed over time and kind of ruined the season, the sport itself, at least for the American audience. Because with each progressing season, I've noticed that less and less viewers have been coming back. Yeah, because usually it's the same exact thing. With this season, it was different, but that made it worse. I mean, they had to do it this way, but the thing is, we might have already said this, but I'd say they really could have done it a lot better with a different format. They could have easily not done teams, but no qualifiers, Instead, just have Vegas all the way through. Or, like, maybe one round of qualifiers, maybe have a power tower, but have, like, a Vegas, like, course. I don't say to have it take place in Vegas. I don't even say have it being as big as Vegas. Just have it so the finals, those are similar to a Las Vegas course. Like, we have Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, the smaller scaled versions. That it would have worked out just fine, and plus the intensity factor of Vegas would still be there instead of the calm, feeling of the qualifiers and finals. I mean, stuff usually happens in the city finals, but with the way this format goes, it really just seems like another round of qualifiers. Yeah, and it is. And if the climax of the season is Power Tower playoffs, it's very disappointing. Yes, very, but we're getting very off topic here. What kind of were we even talking about? Thomas Stillings. Oh yeah, Stillings. He fell on a corkscrew and moved on. Yes. After him, we had Dan Polizzi, who was the first to get past corkscrew this time and fell on the dungeon. And thankfully, Polizzi did end up moving on. Yeah, Polizzi is a personal favorite of mine, so it still sucks he's getting as little spotlight as possible. Yeah, it's pretty clear that Polizzi was only trying to show off what the dungeon could do, considering how early he was. And in the qualifiers, he was fast-forwarded. Yeah, it's really strange how they edit these in, but in some cases it makes sense, some cases it doesn't. Yeah, them fast-forwarding clears from veterans doesn't make too much sense in the grand scheme of things. It also doesn't make too much sense when they put the stories in there for the time they fail early and not for the time they actually do well, instead they fast-forward that or cut it all together. Yeah, again, that doesn't make any sense. After that, we had Megan Martin. It's in a segment with her boyfriend. She's talking about how they met and how they want to start a family together and all that. Martin herself unfortunately fell on the fourth obstacle bunt rubble, which was one of the biggest shockers of the season, at least in my opinion. Yeah, I get what you mean by it being a shocker, but to be completely honest, from my perspective, she had this coming, considering she fell on the fifth obstacle for I think the fourth year in a row in the qualifiers, and then falling in the fourth in the in the finals. To me, it didn't really seem too unexpected. But honestly, I see your point. I see where you're coming from with this. Yeah, most certainly. And after Megan, we had a fast forward featuring David Wright's squad, who all moved on to the finals without the power tower. I think it's the only team actually did fully without the power tower. Yeah, I think so. Pretty sure. Yeah, so we had Alex Carson, who fell on Slingshot, David Wright, who fell on the dungeon, and we had Emil Balik shown soon after falling on the Spider Shop. Which was a shocker. I honestly thought he would be the first finisher of the night. Yes, I definitely think that he deserved to be the first finisher of the night. As he still moved on. Obviously, he was really close. He was up to that last set of doors, and his feet just slipped out right from under him. Yeah, it was a huge shocker. But after Emil Malik, we had Taylor Johnson in a fast-forward segment. Just like the first time she was shown, she actually signifies one of Drew's cameos. Yeah, after she gets off spring forward, you can spot him right down at the bottom. You can see his head just poking out. Now, they didn't even try to blow him out or anything. He's just straight up there. Good job, guys. Straight up. He was in focus. Yes, I would admit that the first time I saw it, I didn't spot him. And it was like, John just like, I think that was Drew. And it's like, and we decided to back up and went, yep, he's down now. Well, to be clarified, I wasn't even 100% sure he was there. I just thought, I saw a beard. I saw his iconic beard. Yeah, because apparently now he has a beard constantly. Yeah, but anyway, Taylor Johnson, she fell on Kwakashaka. And after her, we had Sean Bryan, who was shocked to be fast-forwarded, but it makes some sense. He fell on a slingshot, and this was one of the biggest shockers of the season. Yes, definitely. I mean, Sean Bryan did really well in the qualifiers and had a really nice story about recovery from the shoulder injury last season. And it just makes you think that he's going to do well, but really, he just fell here. Yeah, it kind of sucks. And after that, we had Najee Richardson, and who continued his impressive one from qualifying, and getting to the back half of the course, where he made it all the way to the Spiders draft, where he asked one of the his teammates to give him an inhaler. And I can understand it for Najee's sake. He had asthma attacks and everything, but should that even be allowed? Yeah, I've talked to some of my friends about this, and apparently it's a very controversial thing, as a lot of people went back and forth on if this should actually be legal. Should this actually be fair? But the way I see it is that I think Najee should have the right to do that if he really doesn't have any choice. Yeah, if he doesn't have the choice, then we can let it slide. And especially since it helped him finish the course. Yeah, he made that Spider Trap and finished the course she mentioned, being his second city finals buzzard. And yeah, it was pretty impressive for Najee's sake. After Najee, we had Jessica Helmer, who's one of the competitors brought by RJ Roman via the Power Tower. She fell on a clockwork. Then we had a Joe Velocity squad one, where we saw Joshua Lewis in the same fast forward segment fall on corkscrew, and we also saw Will Salida get shown in a bit of redemption as he fell on the third obstacle last time, but he made all the way to corkscrew this time. Yeah, I'd say a very impressive one. The entire time, like I'd say past the fifth obstacle, he was out of breath for most of it, just trying to gut his way through it. Yeah, he couldn't even touch the corkscrew. He barely even got his hands on it, which is fine. And anyway, I found that pretty funny on the second viewing. What about on the first time? I don't remember. Being serious, I don't actually remember what happened on my first one through. Yeah, on the rewatch, it seems that the episodes are better on a rewatch aside from episode 1, which was blah. Yeah, I don't think anything can really make episode 1 better, except better editing. Yeah. Well, anyway, after Will Salida, we had a fast forward segment featuring the 3 OG ninjas who's competing on every season. Which this was, I hate when they do this stuff like this. When they just blanch them together like they don't really matter. Yeah, it's kind of annoying when we want to see those competitors do well, but when they blanch together like this, it's pretty obvious that they didn't do all that well. And it's true for Lauren Ball, who got first and fell on burnt rubber, unfortunately. But it's not really true for Campbell and Kletch. Well, they didn't move on. They did make it all the way to corkscrew. Yeah, Kletch is one, especially as he came really close to finishing corkscrew. But I think they showcased more of the trouble they had on the balance obstacle burnt rubber. Yeah, it's strange. But after them, we had Lance Pekus, who had a story about him getting his wife back into a saddle. And this was a pretty emotional story. I feel like every single season now we have to have an update on this MS thing. Yeah, it seems that way. You're right, it does seem that way. And it's a little annoying just to keep on getting reminded of this, but you can... I think sometimes they want you to understand this is a real tragedy for Lance in any situation. Whether she's getting better or not, so the fact that she has a very hard time walking. But the fact that they got her on a saddle would be a victory for us, and she hasn't rolled in almost 10 years, I think. I don't know specifically how long it's been, but they said it was a pretty long while. Yeah, unfortunately, Lance himself fell on burnt rubber, and this was, again, one of the biggest shockers of the season. Yeah, again, I feel like they should have showcased Lance's qualifying run and showed off this story and then had him fast-forwarded here. Yeah, sometimes you feel like they should have reversed it on a fast-forward sense, where they have him fast-forwarded in the finals and not the qualifiers, and the story that plays in the finals plays in the qualifiers. Same with Megan Martin, and except maybe fast-forwarded in the finals instead of showing her one. Because sometimes it's pointless, sometimes they don't make a point and just show it. It's kind of what they edit in these stories. Yeah, and it's, each competitor tells one story, at least most of the time, unless it's one of the big competitors where they might do two. But they're usually filmed within the same night. It's just they choose when to air them. And for pacing purposes, I really do think it's weird how they have some of them air in the finals where they should air in the qualifiers and vice versa. yeah, the big ultra stories that talk about life and stuff really shouldn't be in the finals, at least in my opinion. Those big life stories should really be in the qualifiers almost exclusively. There are a few exceptions that could be excused, but they should all be in the qualifiers. Yeah, after Lance Pincus, though, we had Alex Nye, who was one of the couple competitors who wasn't shown in the qualifying, but he ended up hitting a buzzer there, and here he fell on Slingshot. Then we had a big shocker in the form of Tiana Weberly, who hit a buzzer in qualifying, but she fell pretty early on Clockwork, and honestly, this was, in my opinion, the biggest shocker of the episode. Even more than Megan Martin? And Lance Pincus? Yes, maybe a little more than Lance, but still. I felt a little more shocked that Tiana fell way more than the others. I guess it was because I was expecting it the least. I was expecting Tiana to go far. And, yeah, the other two, it's like, yeah, it happened, and I'm sad to see them go, but it's not like I really feel all that shocked, especially in Megan's case. As I said earlier, I kind of felt like she would fail early anyway. So, yeah, but in Lance's case, it was still a pretty shocking fail. But, yeah. Then we had Maddie Howard, who had a small story about her hitting a buzzer and how that felt to her. Similar to Bodell Benson's story. It was a little bit better than his story because it felt a little more in place, but still was partly pointless and partly not. Maddie Howard herself fell on Burt Weber. Again, another shocker. Yeah, it feels like everyone falls on Burt Weber. Like, everyone falls on the Clockwork or Burt Weber. That's what most of the women will take it now, and it kind of sucks. Yeah, that's a pretty big pattern, because, like, we had Taylor Johnson and Tiana Weberly on Clockwork, and we've had we had Megan Martin, Maddie Howard, and last week we had Ashley McConneville. As three of the big women from qualifying was kind of from qualifying, like, who fell on Burt Weber, and it just, all of them were shockers, at least in my opinion. Yeah, but after Maddie Howard, we have Tage Harrington, who was one of the 19-year-olds that hit a buzzer last season, in the qualifiers. And, he had, I really must have went up to the fifth obstacle. So, but before that, he, was really fast. He did everything with one swing on spring forward, and I was like, what? How do you even do that? I remember it was a little surprising. He took, like, 2 swings on every single Clockwork. Look, it was mostly probably because of his reach altogether. But, yeah, unfortunately, Tage Harrison, who I've gotten from me just saying up to the fifth obstacle, he fell on Slingshot. But, yeah, I wanted to see him go farther. I think he deserved to go farther. But, after him, we had, Jody Willio in a fast forward segment, which she also fell on a Slingshot, but did end up moving on. Yeah, and finally we had Michael Torres soon after, who had a little story about his wedding actually taking place in June, not being the usual wedding, it being online, but it being one of the most popular weddings. And Michael Torres himself did really well, becoming the night's second finisher. So, and, yeah, I wish I had more to say about his one, but it was, because it was really, it was good to see him hit a buzzard, him hit 2 buzzards. As again, Michael Torres, personally, was one of my favorites to win this season, personally. Yeah, and after Michael Torres, we had Ben Muehlek in a fast-forward segment. He was one of Audrey Roman's squad. One got to the finals via the Power Tower, and he made great use of that, just by falling on the third obstacle. Clockwork, just like his teammate, Jessica Homer. Yeah, Audrey Roman was also fast-forwarded here, and this was another shocker. As well didn't fall, he actually finished the course. Still, it's shocker when certain people just fail randomly. It's also a shocker when the guy next door is mowing his lawn while we're trying to record a podcast. I thought that ringing was just your mic, honestly. No, it's still the guy mowing his lawn. So, I'm sorry for that, but anyway, who are we talking about? Audrey Roman, right. Yeah, he finished the course, And after RJ Roman, we had Darren Harrison, who got all the way to corkscrew before falling, and he just narrowly missed out in the finals, getting 13th place. A little sad for the fans, so Jackie Flash, but honestly, I could really care less. Yeah, and before we moved on, I would like to mention how much they sapped that, and like, they kept on saying, "Oh no, will Jackie Flash get eliminated? Oh no, oh no, oh no." It's like, who cares, honestly? I mean, there are some people who do, I understand that, but from our point of view, it's like, who cares? You know, was from my point of view. Yes, I can agree with that. Finally, we had Austin Gray in a fast forward segment where he had the vision, of course, as well, and this was just why. Yeah, again, Austin Gray. For any of those who watched the season, which you probably should have by this point, it's currently February, but who knows when this is going to be out, but season 13 shouldn't be out by the time this is out. I hope not. But anyway, yeah, Austin Gray was the runner-up of the season, getting second place, and you'd think they want to show his runs, but now it's the second of his runs that got fast-forwarded. It just seems wrong. Yeah, especially since, you know, he hit a buzzer. It's not like he fell in the dungeon or anything. Yeah, but I think they should have showed his one regardless, if he fell in the dungeon or not. Yeah, even if he fell in corkscrew, it should have been shown. At least in some way, and not just in a fast-forward segment. But yeah, after Austin Gray, we had Lucas Reality. In that same fast-forward segment along with Austin Gray, Lucas hit a buzzer in the on top of the spiral trap once again. And once again, you'd think they would show him, but nope, just a fast-forward segment. And by the way, he did get the second fastest time of the night. Alright, so, yeah, you'd think they would have shown him. Definitely. And, but after Lucas, we had Jessie Graff. And just the way she was being edited in, there was no story or anything. It really made me think she was going to fail early, but she did not. She fell on corkscrew and ended up moving on, being the top of the leaderboard for the women. After Jessie Graff's impressive one, we had the final winner of the night, Joe Moloski, who had an impressive one all throughout and hit a buzzer, the fastest time of the night. Yes, congrats for Moloski. Let's see, and before we end this off, we have a few more extra things to talk about, including cut ones. We had John Alexis Jr., who came in ninth and fell in the dungeon. We had Drew Dressel, who did compete this time. We saw him a little bit earlier on Taylor Johnson's run. But here's the thing with Drew Dressel. There has been many conflicting sources of what happened to him. And the official statement, we saw according to Ninja Wiki, is that Drew Dressel ended up falling on corkscrew and moved on to the finals in the 12th spot, which would make sense. As going to the leaderboard, we see Jessie Graff on 12th spot, but she tweeted out saying she never got there. So what most likely happened is that Drew Dressel was in that spot where she was, and they just covered the win. Yeah, it's a very hasty edit, but it definitely does make sense knowing what we found. Yeah, it's fairly hard to find stuff about Drew. We try our best to find it, but if we couldn't, we just couldn't. But yeah, that's about it for the 75th episode 2. So now that spoilers are out of the way and we've covered everything, what you guys think? Once again, a very fun episode. Once again, all the stars. Really cool. Yes, I'd say the only story, again, let's just go into this, the vignettes, the story is the only one I can say with full discrepancy that I didn't like was Rodeo's in the beginning. But everyone else wasn't a train wreck to sit through. It felt needed. It felt necessary to be there. It just felt maybe out of place for where it was in the season. But it's not like the vignette itself was bad. Yes. Anyway, next time we're covering the part 1 of the finals. We're almost done here. Yeah, we're almost done with season 12, and I'm pretty happy about it since this season was pretty disappointing. Yeah, if you guys are curious, we're going to talk about season 12. We have something special to do afterwards, which we won't reveal till at least a couple of weeks from now. But, we'll show you guys that when we get there. It's going to be our subscribers just so when we hit 500, whenever that is. But anyway, after we have that special, we're gonna cover AEW 13, and just like we're doing here with AEW 12. I'm set to have done weekly. That way we can be caught up and everything. And after AEW 13, we'll probably take like a month off at least. Yeah, definitely. I would want a month off, especially you're gonna be producing daily videos. Yeah, for 16 weeks. I might do it another way. I don't know. We'll see how I feel comfortable doing it. But yeah, that's the plan. After we do AEW 13, we'll take like a month off. But we're gonna come back with AEW Junior, as we still have to cover 15 episodes, about 6. We still have to cover a good chunk of the show, so we're gonna do that. And after we cover AEW Junior, it's mostly just gonna be what we think about covering. Yeah, again, this is more about discussing Ninja and more of maybe like if there's a topic we want to bring up, we might make an episode about it. If we can spend at least like 15 minutes talking about one specific topic and learning each other's opinions on that specific topic, then it's what makes an episode out of. Yes, but anyway, we're just dragging this on. We'll see you guys next time, covering part 1 of the finals, episode 7. And, yeah, pretty exciting.